Hi, everyone. Mike White here. Welcome to this week's vlog post. Boy, I tell you what, uh, pretty good day in the bond market yesterday, following up on what's been a pretty solid improvement in the rate environment over, short period of time. But, we'll take any positive news that we can get. I think the economic data, aside from, again, some information that's old, out of time data uh, would have been even better yesterday and the day before. But the good news is, and I think part of the improvement in the bond market yesterday was the Fed's acknowledgement that some of the algorithms, some of the things that they're doing, some of the metrics that they're collecting, that where they're getting their data from is outdated and needs to be improved. And they're going to take steps in 2024 to look at that information and see if they can improve what they're doing, how they're doing it. Because the only one that believes that used car prices and new car prices are going higher happens to be the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Nobody else on the entire planet has any information, real time or otherwise, that shows that new car and used car prices are going higher. And since that makes up a significant component of how they calculate their, inflation data, the numbers would have been, and again, not hugely different, but better, and certainly past some emotional milestones. You and I both know that somebody, would like to get a rate at 6.99 as opposed to 7, or 5.99 as opposed to 8. Getting inflation, numbers with, 2.9 instead of 3% would have been a significant emotional, barrier for a lot of people. So it's coming. And now, based upon, the Fed's own information, it is very clear that there will be, at least in the foreseeable future, no rate increases. And in fact, the next move the Fed makes, when it decides to make it, will be lower. And we can get into, how much and how fast and all these other things. But for now, let's just be happy that we're seeing some positive movement, in our interest rate environment, which comes at a really good time, because it piggybacks on what I'm talking about, which is the numbers. And numbers always are what they are. And regardless of what you think that they mean, you have to pay attention to them, just like we just talked about. Everybody in the world can point to the fact that the BLS jobs number would have been much better. The BLS inflation report would have been better had, real accurate information and current numbers been used as to what, wholesale car prices and used car prices were doing. But they're not, and we all know it. So that improvement will eventually come. Well, again, we'll get that in real time, and we do have to pay attention to it and how markets react to it and what that means for the future. And I bring that up because I'm getting more and more loan officers telling me and sharing that not only realtors that they work with, but people in the mortgage people are starting to go out there and taking part-time jobs because activity has slowed down. And it is, a challenge for them. And my point, again, since we're commission-based people largely, and I know this information is largely hyper local. Your own market may be more active, less active. This may be more prevalent, not prevalent at all in your markets. I'm giving you a general feedback from the consensus of people that I deal with. But they're seeing people either, leaving the business or getting part-time jobs to supplement their income. And I think about that a lot, and I say, what if, they're leaving, the opportunity in the mortgage or real estate business to spend 15 or 20 hours a week or whatever it is in a part-time job that's going to pay 15 to 20 bucks an hour. What if they use those 15 to 20 hours a week to just hyper focus on generating an opportunity? What if they were out there just talking to people, knocking on doors, having conversations, speaking to homeowners, speaking to renters, speaking to people in general, speaking to other professionals, engaging the marketplace, bringing up the conversation, because by and large, yes, this year is not as good as last year. The numbers, both on the numbers of transactions and the total dollar volumes, are down. And since that's what we get paid on, I get it. But not to the point where these people are abandoning half their career because they got to go out and work a part-time job. What if they applied that to actually getting in front of the actual business that is taking place? Because not, contrary to popular belief, there are people in our industry who are actually having better years this year than they had last year. So I know that they're fewer and further between than they used to be, but the evidence is real that it happens. And I've taught, a few questions that I have to ask. And I just want to put out there, how much total business is off in your particular market? And is your specific loss or their loss, the people that are taking those part-time jobs, is it in line with, if business is off 10% in your market, if total residential, home sales are off 10% or 20%, whatever they happen to be in your market, then is that what your business is off? Is your business off 20%? And if it is off 20% in your market, are you taking into account the number of people who have left the industry completely because now that business is being picked up by somebody else, that business is still available? So is the loss in your market proportional to the loss that you're feeling in your own personal production or their personal production? And since, again, we're largely commission-based business, is it fair to say that while volumes are down in total units, dollar volumes for each individual transactions have gone higher? Home prices have gone higher, loan sizes have gone higher. So while total number of transactions may be down, transactional values as far as the commissions on those deals has actually gone higher. Each individual deal is worth more money. So that, again, in conjunction with the people who have left and abandoned their referral sources and those customers, that business is now being picked up by other people. So it further narrows, again, how much money were you making last year? How much money did you make the year before? When you didn't go get that part-time job, was there something else you could have done in your own business currently that could have focused on offsetting those losses? And again, what is the real value of taking a $15 to $20 an hour part-time job when if you took 15 to 20 hours a week, that would give you, again, depending upon who you are, 50, 60, 70 hours a month. If you went out there and generated opportunities, again, average realtor in the United States gets involved in 8 transactions a year. You mean to tell me if you went out there 60, 70 hours in a month, hardcore prospecting, talking to people, knocking on doors, being present, you couldn't get in front of how many transactions a month? And again, since the average realtor does about 2/3 of a transaction a month, you mean to tell me you couldn't get in front of one transaction a month if you were hardcore prospecting 60 or 70 hours? Maybe you need to look at what you're doing for prospecting or how committed you are to that prospecting process. But I don't see how there is any way in God's green earth that, the part-time job, if you focus those same hours on prospecting, that you wouldn't come out way ahead of the game. And again, with people leaving the mortgage and real estate communities, that's leaving that business available to the remaining people. And again, if business is off in your marketplace 10 or 15 or 20%, whatever it is, what we're looking at the contraction of loan officers in the United States. We're looking at the contraction of realtors in the United States. I don't know what that percentage of people who are getting out of the business or leaving the full-time business of this. Maybe, you need to look at that and say, but wouldn't the numbers be helpful here? So yeah, I get it, but I want to just put out there, when we came through a tremendous area where purchases and mortgage opportunities were available in abundance, it was low-hanging fruit. And it just reminds me, hey, if low-hanging fruit is gone, then you got to climb the tree. And if those people who don't want to climb the tree, then guess what? You're not going to eat and you're going to go hungry. So yeah, low-hanging fruit days may be gone, but that doesn't mean that there are no opportunities. It doesn't mean that people roll up their sleeves and go do the work. And to me, it's a matter of we're looking to pick up. I've got loan officers and companies that I'm working with who are growing market share, who are growing their businesses as we speak, because they're doing the WORK of the JOB, as I like to put it. So yeah, I really look at this and say, for people who sit there and say this is not true, I'll bring up the story of a team that I work with who were facing a really terrible fourth quarter. And they were all afraid of what was going to happen. And I said, what's going to happen is you're going to roll up your sleeves, you're going to do the work, you're going to do the tasks that we've outlined, because we have the time to do them, because you're not as active as you were before. And there are plenty of time to get up there, roll up your sleeves, and get out there and go do the work. And this was just a couple of weeks before Thanksgiving. And this team looked like they were going to put together a month that was going to close about 14 or 15 units in December. And in 4 weeks, they rolled up their sleeves and they did the work. And they're set to close 33 units in December, 33. In 4 weeks' time, they took what was going to be fearfully a terrible month, worst month of the year, and turned it into what will be about the 5th best month of the year as far as units and dollar volume goes. That's just goes to show you what happens if you'll execute, you'll follow, you come up with a plan, you work a strategy. And like I've always said, there's only two ways that you fail. There's only two ways that you fail. Either you don't know what you're supposed to be doing right now, or you refuse to do what you should be doing right now. Only two reasons that you fail. I can help you with the first one. I can share with you the things that need to be done. You can look at these blog posts. You can look at the website. You see the strategies. We're having them all the time, and people are using them to succeed. So it's either the first one or the second one. I can help with the first one, and you control the second one. As always, if you need help, if you have questions or comments, it's Mike at impcoaching.com. We'll talk to you again next week. Take care.